let's keep on with this train that we're talking about with Venom. We're going to be talking about movie delays justice. So one of the big things when it comes to the Rona going around is that there's now a Delta variant of it. And one of the things is that already shut down Clifford the Big Red Dog movie. Oh my God, the world is over. Clifford the Big Red Dog is no longer coming out in theaters indefinitely. But one of the things that happened after that is that they released the Venom Let There Be Carnage trailer. And they didn't put a definite date on the end of it. And they pulled definite dates from the website and they just said this fall. Now, if Sony's going to do that and Paramount is going to say, you know what, you're going to have to wait to get Clifford because we think it's $1 billion movie. But Disney has to be looking at this now and going, all right, well, Jungle Cruise, we already had Jungle Cruise come out, and that was kind of a colossal failure, at least when it comes to how much the movie cost them to make and how much it's making. And then Black Widow comes out, and it does well the first weekend, falls off the second weekend, and then Disney Plus, it makes 60 million, but still nowhere close to what they needed. Do you risk with these movies coming out? You've got Eternals coming out. Shang Chi is the next one that comes out. And then you have Spider-Man in December. Do you risk any of these movies flopping? Because there are lots and lots of problems of putting things on Disney Plus, especially when it comes to piracy. So do you bite the bullet and delay them again? Or do you want to see what happens when you put them out in theaters? Like, take me in the mind of a Disney executive, and then we'll talk about what we want them to do afterwards.
Well, I feel like the thing about Disney is they have Disney Plus. Sony doesn't have like a Sony Plus to my knowledge. Maybe they use Paramount Plus. I'm not really sure. But
actually, Sony has a deal with Netflix, I believe.
Okay. They're not putting a brand new movie out
No.
on Netflix though.
Hell no,
so,
they're not.
Exactly. So that's the thing about Disney is so the thing that bothered a lot of people was that the Carnage trailer came out and we still have no sign of Spider-Man No Way Home. Like no trailer, no anything. And that bothered a lot of people. But I think that Sony is really like, okay, we know that Spider-Man is our money maker, our specifically money maker, and it has, obviously the partnership with Marvel, but we want it to be as maximum profit as possible, right? So I think that's why they're going to use Venom as like a test. They're going to see, okay, let's look and see where the public's, where they at. Like, do they want to go out to the movies and actually go support Spider-Man? Because if you don't support Venom, chances are you're probably not going to get a huge turnout for Spider-Man. Even if it is bigger, it's not going to be as big as you would want it to be, right? The thing about Marvel is like Shang-Chi's coming. You mentioned the Eternals are coming. You still got Disney Plus, and you know that specifically with the Eternals, that pushes the MCU forward. And those movies that push the MCU forward, i.e. Civil War, Endgame, Infinity War, movies like that, where Loki, where it like kind of takes you into the next, phase or kind of moves the storyline along. We know that those movies are very, very successful in Marvel. And then when you have like your Black Widows and your Ant-Mans and movies like that don't necessarily push the storyline along, they're kind of just like origin stories, or they're just, a story, period. It doesn't have doesn't have a whole lot to do with the continuity, up to the point where of its release. I don't think those movies do as well as the others. That's why I think Ant-Man and the Wasp was kind of helped push it forward, because it helps to establish the quantum
realm. Yeah.
Quantum realm. Thank you. Which is how they went back in time, obviously, to stop Thanos. But Shang-Chi, I feel like because that's the origin movie, I don't know how much it's going to make. I'm excited to see it. But I don't think it's going to do very well. I think that No Way Home is going to do very well. I think that the Eternals are going to do very well. And so, again, to answer your original question, I think that they're going to use Venom as like a test subject to see, where the audience is at and if they actually want to go out and support it in theaters. And then if it gets a decent turnout or a turnout that they deem acceptable, I feel like they'll go ahead and start pushing No Way Home.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from with that because when I'm thinking about the next movies that come out, I believe the next one that does come out is Shang-Chi. So I think Disney has not said that Shang-Chi will be on Disney Plus. They have not said it. And one of the big things is, are they going to delay it? Are they
But
going to put it on?
that's the thing. Like they didn't say that Black Widow, right, wouldn't be on. They didn't say it would be on Disney Plus. Actually, that was the
Mm,
reason Scarlett Johansson ended up suing them because they put it on Disney
mm.
Plus without letting her know. So I'm saying they still have that to fall back on. Even if they do or don't, it's still the opportunity is there for it. Sony
Yeah,
doesn't have that.
yeah, Sony doesn't have that, and obviously they could probably release it on Disney Plus if they think that is a realistic thing because they have a partnership with Marvel. Just the only problem, and I think that Disney sees it as they got it with Jungle Cruise and Black Widow, is your problem that you're going to have with piracy. The big thing that has to come with seeing a movie in theaters is that obviously somebody's not going to get an HD rip of the movie to spread it all over the internet. That's kind of one of the big things why a lot of people now, a lot of people say that, it's not that big of an issue, but I'm going to say if you're going to have a movie that should make $1 billion, like say Spider-Man Far From Home, you do not put that out anywhere other than in theaters. That is an Avengers Endgame type thing from everything we're hearing. Like that is like a huge event movie that's going to happen. And of course, with all the rumors of multiple Spider-Man in it, like if you put that out, if it can be pirated, it's gonna be pirated. If it's in theaters, people will go watch it. And I think Disney knows that. Black Widow wasn't one of those movies that it was in theaters and you think about it and you're like, maybe I can wait to go see Black Widow. When Spider-Man comes out in theaters, or when I can't even say the Eternals because they're not that big of a name, but like, or even Shang-Chi for the matter, they're not that big of a name that makes you go, oh, I got to go see that movie. But Spider-Man, that's one of those movies where I could see them pushing that back if this is such a problem to them because, and as much as I don't want them to push it back, that is a money making movie. Every single Spider-Man movie that has come out has made a metric fuck ton of money. So I don't think that, even though I don't want it to be and I want to see it in December and I'm going to go watch it probably like 2-3 times in theaters, even if it's on Disney Plus, I'm going to go watch it in theaters. That's what they're banking on. I could see that movie getting delayed. I think that maybe Eternals and Shang-Chi might get the Disney Plus treatment, even though Disney doesn't want to do that. I could see them doing that just so that those movies can come out. But Spider-Man, no way in hell. And Venom is going to be the telltale for Sony because if Venom comes out and it doesn't do that well because it's only coming out in theaters, Spider-Man's getting delayed. And maybe if Shang-Chi doesn't do very well, Eternals gets delayed as well because that'll be Disney's point in the sand where they got to go, all right, we're going to put out Shang-Chi and see what happens. And if it flops, then Eternals might get pushed back as well. So, and as far as I know, the Eternals don't have, I mean, it's not like one of those big multiverse busting movies from what we've heard, especially in Shang-Chi 2. So I don't think if you push that one back, maybe if it has to go past Spider-Man, that it's going to be doing that much. But I think that your movies that are possibly getting delayed are Eternals and Spider-Man, but Venom and Shang-Chi will come out on time, whether it is that they flop or not.
Real quick, I do
Yeah.
think Venom is going to be one of those MCU busting movies. I do. I think that Shang-Chi is an origin story. I think did I say Venom? I meant
Yeah.
Eternals.
Eternals.
I think Eternals is going to be an origin story as well. However, I think that they're going to give more than just the origin of like the Eternals. I think they're going to go into the multiverse as a whole, where you have. I think that like how in What If they keep referring to the Watcher. I think
Mm,
the Watcher probably gets some shine in Eternals. I feel like they might talk about one of the King variants in
mm.
Eternals, like Ramatut could possibly, because they have some Egyptian like symbolism in
Yeah.
there. So I could see that being a movie where they say, okay, this is how the multiverse started and everything came to be about, whatever, whatever. And I just want to say how bad I feel for Kevin Feige. Like you drop Iron Man 1
Mm.
15, 20 years ago, whatever. Or was it is it 10 years actually? Not 15.
That movie came out in 2008, I believe, or
Okay, so
2009.
okay, so I was thinking
Mm.
the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
So almost 15 years ago, you release Iron Man, and you have this intricate, just alignment, storyline, and
Mm.
then you put everybody together in Avengers. Great movie, right? And then you have Civil War, which kind of like shook the MCU as a whole, where everybody you got like a lot more fans, and that was kind of like the beginning where it was like a phenomenon, right?
I
And
love
for
how
me,
you just went over Age of Ultron, like to
because
whatever.
no. Age of Ultron is a good movie, and I think it was iconic. But I don't think it was like I don't think it like brought new fans
Well,
to Marvel.
that's the thing. I personally am not the biggest fan. I think it's the weakest Avengers movie. I think a lot of people do.
Me too.
But
Yeah.
Civil War adds on to the movie. That's the thing that I saw you skip over it and then go to Civil War, and I'm like, yeah, well, Civil War kind of feels like just the adding on. It's the DLC to Avengers: Age of
Right.
Ultron.
Absolutely. So I think Civil War, like to your point, was is one of
Mhm.
those movies, and then obviously you have Infinity War, which becomes
Mhm.
like the highest grossing movie ever, or something like that, right? And then you have Endgame, and now we're at this position where he's like, all right, we've got all this success based off of Iron Man, which wasn't even like one of the
Mhm.
A-list characters to begin with from the comics, and now COVID is messing everything up to the point where like you're trying to keep this well-oiled machine, going forward, and now everything's getting blown up because we know how meticulous Kevin Feige and
Mhm.
Marvel is about what they do and don't want out in the universe. Oh, but about what they do and don't want out, as far as like information. So I think that the COVID is really ruining things as far as continuity standpoint for
Mhm.
Kevin Feige and Marvel.
Yeah, 100%. And all these delays are just going to keep making that go on and making Kevin Feige's day way worse. But the question is, what does everybody else think about this? What do you think about the delays? What movies do you think can afford to get delayed, even though none of us want any of them to be delayed? What ones do you think had the best chance of getting delayed? Make sure to let us know down below.